more problem, must look at the map of Jammu and Kashmir and must realize where is this problem. It is nowhere in any of the urban centers. It is not in Anantnag, Baramulla, Shupia or Pulwama. It is not in the other side, inside Rajouri or Poonch. It is on the Pir Panjal. It is in the area of the forest, the forested tracts out there.
Okay.
None of this is going to affect us. The army, the security forces have got these people all bottled up there. I agree, we have suffered some losses in the recent past, but that does not prevent us from ensuring that our urban centers are completely secure. We can go ahead. The most important lesson from this,
Okay.
the message which is going on, is that India continues to cement its control over Jammu and Kashmir. A successful assembly election, which is a bread and butter election, even beyond the Lok Sabha election. This kind of an election actually conveys the message that the people of Jammu and Kashmir are with us and want to be a part of us.
Fair enough, sir. Dr. Qureshi, three-phase elections, do they indicate confidence of the administration of the state? Signals the confidence of ballot over bullet and boycott?
Yes, definitely. I was very happy when I heard the press conference. Three-phase election surely indicates that the law and order the situation is quite under control, as the government has been claiming for the last few months. And this is a proof. A short election, in any case, is always a good idea. And time has come when multi-phase election, 7-phase, 6-phase election, we should leave behind, because it is proving to be counterproductive now. Because the whole idea of a multi-phase election was that forces which were made available to us, the paramilitary, was limited. And we had to circulate the same force again and again from phase to phase. Now, forces take 4 or 5 days to reach the next phase. The gundas and criminals reach there in 6, 7, 8 hours. So, and in the social media age, when the hate the speech is spread like wildfire, it is better to finish the election as quickly as possible.
Okay.
And this is a very good initiative, which I appreciate.
Okay. Ifrajan, your take on it. We heard both General Hasnain and Dr. Qureshi, your take on it as the spokesperson of the National Conference, because elections have been held both for the parliament and at grassroots level, panchayat and block level. This is a very important, as General Hasnain puts it, the bread and butter tier elections for the another tier, which is assembly. 3 phases, okay, or too little time to campaign, Ifra?
You see, first of all, I would like to congratulate the petitioners in the 370 case who had gone to the Supreme Court of India. It's only after their petition was heard, and it's only because of the order that Supreme Court of India that ensured that before 30th September, elections must be held. So I would like to congratulate those petitioners, including the National Conference, and our former MPs who were the lead petitioners in that case. That is the first thing. The second thing, Gaurav Sahab, is what essentially is an election. What do you mean by an election? What we mean by an election is that the people effectively govern themselves through their elected representatives. This is the crudest definition. Are, however, people going to govern themselves? If we look at the recent amendments in Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act, whatever little power was left with them in a union territory, even that power was taken away. So unless and until a statehood is fully restored, the process of election, the meaning of election, you may not necessarily say that people are necessarily governing themselves if they don't have the power to do that through the laws. If you tweak the laws in a way that they're not able to do that. And before we started the show, we were talking about apprehensions that we may have. I would like to begin. I would just like to say 2 apprehensions that the National Conference has. Today, the Election Commission press conference began at around 3 p.m. Since yesterday evening and today morning, almost 200 officers in Jammu and Kashmir have been transferred by the BJP government. That is very clearly being done so as to give an administrative edge to the BJP government. National Conference has written to the Election Commission of India, but one of the reasons why we have such model code of conduct comes into place is that so that no political party has the ruling party does not have an administrative edge. The BJP very clearly has done that. And in the last election, that what we had seen is once the election process began, a lot of our workers started getting called to police stations. A lot of our workers, we wrote to Election Commission. We hope that it does not happen again.
Fair
that
enough.
National
You've
Conference
raised
workers
several
will
points,
not be
ma'am.
harassed.
Let me get Dr. Qureshi to respond to the very specific points you've raised. One on statehood, the power of the new administration that would come in, and also the transfer of officials. Dr. Qureshi, how would you like to respond to the apprehensions of the National Conference?
First, I'll take the second one first, mass transfer. Actually, there is nothing unusual about it. In almost in every election, and every state does exactly that. Because till the day before the elections are announced, the state has all the power and election commission has no power. Of course, we send them guidelines in advance. Look, these are the principles we'll follow. Nobody in the home state, somebody who has been posted for 3 years out of 4 years has to go. And because if please take care of this policy and transfer them. Otherwise, if you don't, we will the day our raid begins. So I'm very sure that tomorrow, day after, election commission will come down heavily on these transfers, and the representation which NC has put forward, election commission takes these complaints very seriously. And in fact, sometimes you have seen they even issue antidated orders. So, and for which we have suspended people in the past in different states. So this is nothing abnormal, and there's a treatment for this, and which will be done within a couple of days. That I'm sure about. Secondly, statehood. I'm very positive that that is the next step and not very far away.
Okay, so statehood is the next step. The government had said, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had said, at an appropriate time, statehood would be restored. General Hasnain, I want to for a moment talk about the security aspect once again. Cross-border terrorism and Pakistan using its proxies to disrupt elections, to try and send across the message it's still a stakeholder in what's happening in Jammu and Kashmir. What are India's options then, sir?
See, Gaurav, there's no doubt that time is running out for Pakistan. And the last 5 years, the kind of actions which have been taken, and Pakistan has been on the back foot right through, first during the COVID period and thereafter because of misgovernance and the kind of, instability which has existed in the polity there. But despite that, they have made a lot of efforts to try and remain significant here, the whole aspect of relevance. So this seems to be the last act. In the Lok Sabha elections, they could do nothing at all. They perhaps tried a little bit, but they could not succeed. This time, it seems that they are going to make some attempts. I think from the Indian side, from our side, one thing should be clear. The government of India should be sending across this message very clearly that we are prepared completely from a strategic security angle. Any mess up, any messing, any intervention in our political process here is going to be met with a very strong response. What that response is, I'm not willing to state at this moment. But the projection of a very strong response from India must go very clearly to our adversaries.
Fair enough, sir. Ifra Jan, will elections in the way the campaign has been happening, National Conference completely on board, are all political parties on board? Your understanding of the buzz on ground, and will election be held on issues of development, education, roads, or is the restoration of statehood, Article 370, are these likely to the principal issues that will fire up the campaign, or is 370 done and dusted already, ma'am?
You see, we do not see these two issues as separate. We do not believe that there is a very clear line between development and Article 370. We believe that because we had Article 370, because of which we were Jammu and Kashmir National Conference passed acts like land to the tiller and many others. And that is the reason why Jammu and Kashmir continues to see a better HDI, a state HDI, compared to other states. For example, if you look at the development, we believe that development when in National Conference's tenure, or if you look at the tenure before 370,
Okay.
it was people-centric. If we had 1,000 crores, we would rather build a bridge rather than paint the roads for propaganda that the BJP has been doing. So there is no such clear line between development in 370 and restoration of statehood. These are all issues are connected. Whenever you have, when a state has money, when a state is elected and when you have representatives of the people sitting at the legislative assembly, development becomes pro-centric.
Perfect.
And when people have statehood, they ensure that all of this, the development, whatever comes out of it, is in tune with what they want. So these are not two separate issues.
Dr. Qureshi, in your appreciation, whatever you've seen over the years, and you've seen Jammu and Kashmir through one of its toughest phases, sir, has that boycott narrative finally been defeated? Hurriyat done and dusted? Bullets yet to be silenced? Will the ballot this time silence the bullet and the naysayers, in your appreciation, sir?
Gaurav, we had a very interesting experience in 2008. We were expecting dream elections when suddenly Amarnath Yatra was attacked.
Yes.
And then situation changed dramatically overnight when we went to Kashmir to talk to political leaders. Omar Abdullah, Mahbooba Mufti, and everybody says, please postpone the election because there will be bloodshed. People are throwing stones at us. Then the commission came back and we had a discussion. And for the first time, let me admit that the commission was split into 2-1. One opinion was that we should postpone the election, and the other opinion, which I held, that postponing will be falling into the hands of the militants. That is exactly what they want. And what is the guarantee that after 3 months, 4 months, situation will improve? It will even get worse. Therefore, the best way to restore democracy is to have elections, because we gauge the mood of the people. They have their grievances, they have their problems, they want their representatives to solve those problems, their MLAs, their MPs, Panchayat members. So the best antidote to militancy and terrorism is election and democracy.
The very strong words, sir. General Hasnain, you agree best antidote to Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror and its enabling ecosystem, our ballot, it'll silence both the boycott and the bullet. Because that ecosystem that said no one will be held to lift the tricolor, has that ecosystem been silenced, or will that become very active? What's your apprehension?
I am completely with Qureshi Saab. 2008, when he was the Chief Election Commissioner, I was the GOC at Baramulla. And I remember the same issue had come up, that the Amarnath Shrine Board agitation had virtually sounded the death knell of the elections that year. But despite that, the Election Commission went ahead and did it, and you found the streets were absolutely abounding with people coming out. We had a very good election, particularly in the hill areas, the mountain areas, near the line of control, comparatively lesser in the areas of Sopore and Baramulla and places like that. Today, I expect that there will be an across-the-board enthusiasm which should be there prevalent all along the valley floor. And that will sound the death knell of all separatism, all aspects of other alternative narratives which we hear about, which you have been talking about just now.
Fair enough. We will continue to track this story and these elections very, very closely. To all my guests, many, many thanks for joining me here on India Today. Elections in Jammu and Kashmir will be that final nail in the coffin of Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror. A quick break. News and updates continue on India Today. Stay with us.
To say hello.